Now, when you think of the most popular royals around the world, the Queen Consort Camilla probably doesn't come to mind. But there are some out there who believe she's been portrayed over the years unfairly. Has it been unfair? And that the more you know her, the more you like her. Angela Levin is one of them, a royal biographer and one of the UK's foremost experts in the lives of those who are super famous, but often super private. She's about to release a new book, Camilla, From Outcast to Queen Consort. And she joins me now live from London. Angela, congratulations on the book. When you were researching, what did you learn about Camilla that we don't know?
Well, I knew quite a bit because in 2015 I spent 3 months with her to write a very long piece for Newsweek. And I felt that people were misjudging her and making assumptions that were completely wrong. And so I decided I wanted to change the balance. I didn't want it to be about what I thought because, you know, I'm just a journalist really. I wanted it to be about people who knew her. So I approached long-term friends, people who'd worked for her, heads of lots of charities that she is engaged with now. And I just wanted them to tell me what their thoughts were so I could paint a verbal picture of her. What was wonderful was that the people I spoke to didn't say we wanted to be anonymous. You know, there's always people saying an aide said, or someone who knew them, or someone who's close to them. You never know if it's true or not. But they're all well-known people in the UK, certainly. And they allowed me to use their name and they said what they thought. And that way it created a fascinating picture of what she's really, really like.
It's interesting you say that, and I've always been quite sceptical about books like these, and given how much has been written just about me in Australia over the years that isn't true, I can only imagine times by 1 million what it's like for the royal family. Would she endorse what's written in this book, do you think? Like, how factual is it?
It's very factual. I told the palace that this is what I wanted to do. And I said they won't be able to see it because you can't let them control what you're writing, and then it turns into a hagiography. But my reason for doing it was that I hated The Crown on Netflix because they showed her in a terrible light. I hated what Harry was now doing and saying about her. I wrote his biography in 2018 and I spent 15 months with him, so I know him well. He was charming and fine then, but he's since gone really aggressive. And I wanted to put it to people who are calling her a rottweiler and the most wicked woman on earth. That was before she married King Charles. And I wanted to just put it on a plate and go and speak to people who were running huge charities. Now, you can think that royals can go to a charity, they can cut a ribbon, they say, how are you to everybody, and then they go. She is absolutely not that. I heard the most extraordinary stories of how she's helped. She really does try to make a difference. And this stood out during the pandemic when she felt herself that couples who were together who didn't get on perhaps were having a very bad time because we couldn't go out, you couldn't go to the shops except once a week, and she then really tried to help to get that. She had the idea of putting something in chemist shops with a number and a name that you could go and ask for someone, I think it was called Sue or something like that, and they would know you were having trouble, you were being battered or attacked by your partner. And, you know, positive things like that. But she's not somebody who wants to speak out, look at me, I'm great. She's not someone who really enjoys the spotlight, but she works tremendously hard behind the curtains.
I'm assuming if you spoke to people who are quite close to her, that she would have given them permission, so to speak, to give you details for this book. Are you aware whether that's the case?
No, she didn't want to interfere. I approached them, and if they wanted to talk to me, they did. If they wanted to ask her behind my back, I have no idea. It never came back to me that she's given me permission. But you can tell when someone's talking to you whether they're a bit concerned about what they're saying or whether they're talking from their heart. I mean, I've been interviewing well-known people for a long time, and I can tell the difference between them making something up or whether they really feel like it. But anyway, the sort of questions they wanted to answer were, you know, very straightforward. What has she done for the charity? They'd tell me 100 different things. You know, what she liked. Did she really want to work so hard with Prince Charles? And one of her friends, Lucia Santa Cruz, who actually introduced her to King Charles, he was 22, she was 24, and she said, I would never believe it. You know, she didn't want to have a career. Parents didn't. They just wanted her to get married, have children, have horses and dogs and that type of life. But they met, they got on terribly well. She said she didn't want a career. I never thought she'd be able to do it. It's astonished me that the more she's done, the more she's enjoyed. She wants to help people. She wants to take advantage of her position and be able to do things that a normal person can't do. You know, she gets people together. If they're small charities and struggling, she invites all sorts of them to, well, it was then, it won't be where she's living in the future, and so they could exchange information, perhaps work together, you know, make things more easy for them. If one was better at one aspect and another, that would work. So they weren't just telling me, oh, she's the most wonderful girl. You know, they told me she was untidy. You know, they didn't feel restricted by what they said. And that's a very big range of people. She doesn't have friends who are of a certain type, aristocrats. She has friends of all types. She has a friend of somebody who does something called Strictly Come Dancing. And he was Australian, and he'd never really worked with any royalty, didn't know what to do when she turned up, when he was helping children to get sort of their bones stronger, because too many children sit and watch screens. So he was doing this, and Camilla came because she was very interested. He nearly fell down, but they've now got a fantastic relationship where they go round and they help people, and she loves dancing. She watches Strictly Come Dancing all the time. So it was a whole range of different people, former staff, you know, people who said, one who'd worked for her, Amanda, who'd worked for her for 20 years and now retired. She's at the age where you retire. And she said, she made me me because she encouraged me. She allowed me to speak out. I didn't have to just agree. I could suggest things. I could offer information. And I think they could have said, no, I don't want to talk to you, if they didn't want to speak to me.
Yeah,
you know,
no. Absolutely. So I want to get this question in before we run out of time. Now, Diana famously said this of Camilla when talking about her marriage to Charles. Take a listen.
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
Now, that was always going to make life difficult for Camilla, given people called Diana the People's Princess. What is her relationship like now with Princes William and Harry?
Well, with Prince William, it's absolutely good. With Catherine, it's very good. She often goes out with Camilla and King Charles to see art exhibitions. William's not so keen on that, but she goes. They're very warm. There's a marvellous picture in the papers today of the 4 of them standing together, smiling, looking very relaxed. We're working together sort of feeling. With Harry, he said when she and Charles got married that she was a wonderful woman. You know, she's got to put up with that. I think she's terrific. But I think his views of anybody in the royal family since his marriage have gone down the drain, really. And what he's saying is something that I think is passing on his own unhappiness through blaming all the royals. Diana was wonderful, but she was very damaged. She had lots of mental disorders, and she cut herself, and she had an eating disorder. They had nothing in common. It's a real tragedy, which I blame on the grandmothers, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, and Diana's grandmother, Lady Avroy. And I think that they wanted it because they thought it would be a good match. but actually it was a terrible match, and her illnesses were not shown before they got married. They had nothing in common. It's a real tragedy.
Yeah, okay, Angela, well, thank you very much for your time. And I guess it's difficult to look at blaming anyone for those kind of mental illnesses. And if they do trigger anything in you, you can Google the helpline and get some support that you need. Thank you so much. The book, Camilla, From Outcast to Queen Consort, is out on November 3.